Hey everyone. Today I wanted to talk about different medical conditions to be concerned about if you are in like a survival situation, or if you are, like let's say the world comes to an end, like some people believe. There's a lot of people on the internet that believe it's coming to an end this year. Um, so what are you going to do in the event that, say, somebody that's with you has a serious health condition that you may not actually know about? What happens if somebody has a heart attack or a broken leg when you're running away from something that you really need to get away from? What kinds of things are you going to do? Do you leave the person behind to save your own self? Or do you carry the person as far as you can until you're both possibly are about to be killed or something? I'm a firm believer that, I do believe that I believe in the Christian Bible end of the world. I really do. I also believe that it is coming sooner than what it would be, say 20 years ago. I am a firm believer in that. Now, I'm not a Jesus freak or anything. I'm not gonna sit here and give you Bible verses and tell you that you're an evil person if you don't go to church. That's not the kind of message that I want to get across. So, like, one of the things that I've been having issues with lately is I've been having dreams about the end of the world. And they're very, very vivid dreams, like to the point that they wake me up and I'm entirely and utterly scared for my life. And, like in those instances, what happens if we are in those times? We had those videos that were popping up a while back that a lot of people can say that they were fake, but there's also no real proof that they were, where we were hearing weird sounds in the air. I think some scientists claim that it was due to the Earth's own magnetic field. Some scientists believe that it was because of the Earth's magnetic field being hit with solar rays from our sun, like say solar winds and stuff like that, which we get bombarded by those all the time, no matter what. And sometimes, they create the northern lights. And sometimes they can create other things, like there's a possibility that the sun could shoot a solar wind our way that could actually completely destroy the Earth's magnetic field. And if that happens, obviously going underground, nobody's going to live from that. I personally don't subscribe to that little bit of information. I don't believe that the sun is going to destroy the Earth anytime soon. But I do know that, like, let's say I have a son who's autistic. And one of the things with him is that he is autistic. He really likes video gaming. How do you bug out with somebody who's autistic? These are things that most people don't talk about in like bug out situations. It's not easy to talk about because having a child who is autistic is something that's really, really hard to deal with. Case in point, my son, like I said, really likes Xbox, and like he's really good at it. And every person with autism has that one thing that they're really, really good at. And for my son, it's, he's good at video gaming. I used to be a really big video gamer, and he's better than I am at video games. Now, all I have to do is tell him that I'm going to take his Xbox away, and it's like a goddamn nuke went off in my house. He slaps himself. He yells really loud. He has at some point threatened to hurt himself in ways that I would not want to see. And, like you can see, there's a lot of people that you see out in public, and you'll see their kids throwing fits, and a lot of us, myself included in this, we'd be like, oh geez, they should really learn how to take care of their kids or just discipline their kids, and why do they just stay in the store with their kid throwing a fit like that? I used to get really upset about that because I wasn't a parent with a child at that point, and a parent with a child that's autistic for that matter. And now knowing what it's like when I see a child throwing a fit in a store, I actually feel bad for the parent because it's really one of those hard things. But that's not what we're talking about today. what do you do if you have somebody with you that is autistic, has schizophrenia, Down syndrome, or cerebral palsy, multiple sclerosis, or even cancer for that matter? What do you do in order to help these people? Now, where I live, it's really flat. I live in the plains of South Dakota. I guess the little house on the prairie in a sense. We own 5 acres of land, and I have a 1966 Ford Mustang that I'm working on restoring at the moment. That's my dream car. I want to actually turn it into something where I can use it in a sense of a bug out vehicle. And, you know, like I know that I can get my son to go into the car, but in the event of like an economic collapse, or let's say, you know, we keep hearing these threats from North Korea that they're going to drop a nuke in our atmosphere and possibly cause us to have a massive EMP throughout the entire government. Is it possible? Yeah, it's possible. Everybody who claims that North Korea can't do these things obviously doesn't really know anything about North Korea. They have the ability to do these things. I mean, that'd be like saying a terrorist doesn't have the ability to hijack planes and throw them into buildings. I remember when 2011 or 2001 was here, and September 11th, I remember being woke up in the morning and being told that that happened. And, you know, we didn't think that that could be possible at that time. I'm a child from the 80s. I was born in 85, raised through the 90s, became an adult in 2003. And, you know, I never thought that terrorist was the real thing. You know, I wasn't raised to know what that word was. I was severely abused growing up. My father was physically abusive. He was emotionally abusive. And I had some aunts and uncles that were physically abusive as well. And, you know, though that was my terrorist, I guess, in a sense. But what kind of things, I would like to know from you guys in the comments. What would you do in the sense that you had somebody that was either developmentally disabled or physically disabled? Like, let's say you guys are running and they fall into a hole and break their ankle. What would you do in order to ensure that they can get away from that situation? Like, let's say it's your wife or your 17-year-old son. Are you going to just leave them because they broke their ankle and now they're basically jeopardizing everybody's health and safety? Let's say when martial law happens nationwide and the government's telling us what we can and can't do in some kind of totalitarian state. Read the book in 1984 or even just watch the movie. You know, what happens in those instances, and we're trying to get away from these people. Would you leave your significant other? Would you leave your children to just fend for themselves? Probably not. So I'm just curious as to what you guys would do in order to keep them safe. You know, we all have our own issues and stuff like that. And just curiosity. So let me know in the comments below. Thank you.